When we started out in the morning, there was a man with a camera, and we had a script girl sometimes, almost never. But they would look around and say, well, what are we going to do today? Where are we going? Well, there's a manhole cover over here, and we can do that sight gag over there, and then we can go to Echo Park, and we can get a canoe. And somebody said, yeah, we could turn the canoe over, and she could look like she's drowning, and then the dog could save her. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we'll go to Echo Park as soon as we do that's how they put the plot together. And I remembered those kind of days, and I thought, that'll be interesting, and we do that. And nothing daunted me. I wasn't frightened. It was just the way it went. I didn't like vaudeville, which I got into later, because you did the same thing every single day, over and over and over again. This was very creative, the first thing, and it was inspiring. It was very refreshing and creative, and I liked that. I think from the beginning I was a very creative person, and I went along with it perfectly, And slapstick was something that you just did. And you didn't do it twice. You didn't do the same thing twice, because that killed it. A lot of the things that the studios did was to try to promote the talkies as the singing that was good. And they made out that the silent era was sort of a stone age of films. And it was really terrible, because they talked them down, and they deliberately ran some of the other films fast and to make them look corny, And we were often invited out, those of us who were veterans from silent films, were brought in for a sort of a publicity stunt, and to be there. And the names were very familiar. They rang bells with the audiences. But they were using us to promote something that was to demote ourselves. And so I considered us, and a lot of people did also, sort of a legion of the Walking Dead, and I was the youngest member because I was only 14. A lot of the technology was what really was wrong, and the people didn't have bad voices. Most of the people, even in silence, were recruited from the stage. So they had good voices. And some of them overtalked. They were too strong. I walked to school in my every day, and I used to see the backyards, and they had these incinerators to burn all the trash in those days. And so there would be stacks of photographs. I couldn't mistake what they were, And they were black from the fires, or they were going to go in next. And then there were a few tins of films. And I'm walking along there, and it was like watching the world. It was like the revolution in France or something. This was all going right fast. And it was dead. And so I had to go through the trauma of believing what the studios were saying, that our pictures were no damn good. They'd never been any good. And so I told myself, I never really want to see a Baby Peggy picture as long as I live. They must have been dreadful. And so the other evening when I was sitting through the big parade and thinking about that, I remembered so many theaters that I sat in and saw wonderful films. So I thought, I must have dreamed that, or maybe because I was a child I didn't understand. But I was right, But it was a trauma for me, and I didn't know that other adults were going through the same thing I was going through. Mary Pickford was going to burn all of her films, and Reginald Denny was told by an English interviewer that we're going to run one of your films, and he said, oh, no, I don't want to see one. He had the same trauma.